In the vast expanse of the cosmos, where stars shimmered like diamonds scattered across an endless velvet canvas, there existed a realm known only to a few. It was a place where the boundaries between worlds blurred, and the impossible became commonplace. Here, amidst the swirling nebulae and silent voids, an extraordinary tale began to unfold, a tale that would intertwine the fates of two vastly different civilizations. The Alien Queen's crew, a legendary assembly of beings from distant galaxies, had long been revered for their unparalleled wisdom and technological prowess. Their mothership, the Celestial Sovereign, was a marvel of engineering, its sleek, iridescent hull reflecting the light of countless suns. The crew, led by the enigmatic Queen Zorathia, consisted of warriors, scientists, and diplomats, each chosen for their unique abilities and unwavering loyalty. They were explorers of the unknown, seekers of knowledge, and guardians of peace in a universe often fraught with chaos. On the other side of this cosmic stage stood humanity, resilient and determined, carving out their destiny among the stars. Among them was Captain Elias Drake, a seasoned soldier whose reputation preceded him. Known for his strategic brilliance and unyielding courage, he commanded a squadron of elite fighters, each member handpicked for their exceptional skills and unbreakable spirit. Together, they formed the Vanguard, a formidable force dedicated to protecting Earth's interests and ensuring the survival of their species in the face of extraterrestrial threats. The stage was set against a backdrop of breathtaking celestial phenomena. Nebulae painted the sky with hues of crimson and gold, while asteroid belts danced in intricate patterns, guided by the gravitational pull of unseen forces. In the distance, a binary star system cast dual shadows across the landscape, creating an ever-shifting tapestry of light and darkness. It was within this awe-inspiring setting that the paths of these two groups would cross, sparking a chain of events that would alter the course of history. As the Alien Queen's crew navigated the treacherous waters of interstellar politics, they found themselves embroiled in a conflict that threatened not only their existence but the very fabric of the universe. Meanwhile, Captain Drake and his Vanguard prepared for their next mission, unaware that their destinies were about to collide in ways they could never have imagined. The call for help that would soon echo through the void would serve as the catalyst for an alliance that transcended species and united them in a common cause. And so, under the watchful eyes of ancient constellations and amidst the silent whispers of the cosmos, the story began, a tale of courage, sacrifice, and the enduring power of unity in the face of overwhelming odds. The distress signal pierced through the silence of space like a scream in the night. It was faint at first, barely more than static against the hum of the Celestial Sovereign's communication arrays, but Queen Zorathia's sharp instincts caught it immediately. Her antennae twitched, and her luminous eyes narrowed as she turned toward the holographic display hovering above the command console. The message, fragmented and distorted, carried a single desperate plea: "Help us, they are coming." Zorathia's heart sank. She recognized the voice. It belonged to one of her most trusted scouts, Commander Valeth, who had been dispatched to investigate anomalies near the Andarian Rift. The Rift was a volatile region of space notorious for its unpredictable gravitational surges and strange energy signatures. Few dared to venture there, but Valeth had insisted, driven by reports of unusual activity that suggested the presence of something, or someone, unnatural. "Bring up the coordinates," Zorathia ordered, her voice calm despite the storm brewing within her. Around her, the crew sprang into action. The ship's artificial intelligence, a sentient being known as Solis, projected a map of the sector onto the main view screen. A blinking red dot marked Valetha's last known location, dangerously close to the heart of the rift. "We're receiving additional fragments," said Lieutenant Kale, the communications officer, his six-fingered hands flying over the controls. "They mention swarms. Thousands of them. Closing in fast." Zorathia exchanged a glance with her second-in-command, General Tacharwayanen, whose armored frame loomed imposingly beside her. His mandibles clicked softly, a sign of deep thought. "Swarms," he rumbled. "Could it be the Drakari?" "No," Zorathia replied firmly, though unease coiled in her chest. The Drakari were a predatory species known for their hive-like behavior, but they rarely ventured beyond their own territory. This felt different, more calculated, more sinister. Whatever was hunting Valeth wasn't acting on instinct alone. Before she could issue further orders, the ship shuddered violently, throwing several crew members off balance. Alarms blared as warning lights bathed the bridge in pulsating crimson. "Report!" Zorathia barked. "Gravitational spike detected," shouted Ensign Lyra, her tentacles writhing in agitation. "It's emanating from the rift. We're being pulled in. Engage counter-thrusters. Full power to the stabilizers," Zarathia commanded, gripping the edge of the console as another tremor rocked the vessel. The Celestial Sovereign groaned under the strain, its advanced systems struggling to compensate for the sudden influx of destabilizing forces. General HFY leaned closer to the viewscreen, his multifaceted eyes scanning the swirling maelstrom ahead. "Your Majesty, we cannot delay. If we do not act now, both our crew and Commander Valeth will be lost." Zarathia hesitated for only a moment before nodding decisively. "Prepare the extraction pods. I'll lead the rescue team myself." "My queen, no," THRYNN protested, stepping forward. "It is too dangerous. Let me go in your stead." But Zarathia shook her head, her resolve unwavering. "This is my responsibility. Besides, no one knows how to navigate those pods better than I do. You stay here and ensure the Sovereign remains intact." Without waiting for further argument, she strode toward the hangar bay, her regal cape billowing behind her. Inside the hangar, the extraction pods gleamed ominously under the harsh fluorescent lights. Sleek and compact, they were designed for high-risk missions where larger ships couldn't operate safely. As Zarathia climbed into the cockpit of the lead pod, she felt a pang of uncertainty, an emotion she rarely allowed herself to entertain. The rift loomed ahead, its chaotic energies twisting and writhing like living tendrils. She activated the comms channel to address her crew one final time. "To all hands aboard the Celestial Sovereign," she began, her voice steady and commanding, "we stand on the precipice of danger, yet also opportunity. Our comrades need us, and we will not falter. Hold the line until my return." With that, she initiated the launch sequence. The pod shot forward, plunging into the abyss with breathtaking speed. Behind her, 3 other pods followed, each piloted by members of her elite guard. As they entered the rift, reality seemed to warp around them. Stars stretched into streaks of light, and the very fabric of space appeared to ripple and tear. Static crackled over the comms, making communication nearly impossible. Suddenly, a shadow passed overhead, a massive, serpentine shape moving with terrifying grace. Zarathia's breath hitched as she realized what it was, a Leviathan-class predator, far larger than anything recorded in their databases. Its segmented body glinted with metallic scales, and rows of jagged teeth lined its gaping maw. It let out a deafening roar that reverberated through the vacuum, shaking the pods violently. "Stay focused," Zarathia called out, though she wasn't sure if her words reached the others. The Leviathan circled above them, its movements deliberate and menacing. Then, without warning, it lunged. Back on the Celestial Sovereign, General HFY clenched his fists as he watched the pods disappear into the rift. He knew the risks involved, but trusting in Zarathia's leadership gave him some measure of comfort. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that this mission was far from over, and that greater challenges lay ahead. Meanwhile, deep within the rift, Zarathia maneuvered her pod with precision, dodging the Leviathan's attacks while scanning for any sign of Valeth's signal. The stakes had never been higher, and failure was not an option. Somewhere in this chaotic void, answers awaited, and perhaps allies who could tip the scales in their favor. Amidst the chaos engulfing the Celestial Sovereign and its valiant rescue team, a beacon of hope flickered across the vast expanse of space. On board the human vessel Invincible Resolve, Captain Elias Drake sat in the dimly lit command center, his piercing gaze fixed on the holographic display projecting an array of data streams. The ship, a marvel of human engineering, hummed quietly beneath his feet, its powerful engines idling as it orbited a remote outpost on the edge of explored space. Drake's attention was drawn to a peculiar anomaly flashing intermittently on the monitor, a faint, erratic signal cutting through the usual background noise of the cosmos. Leaning forward, he adjusted the frequency filters, isolating the transmission. The garbled message repeated in disjointed bursts, "Celestial Sovereign, under attack. Need assistance." Despite the distortion, the urgency in the alien voice was unmistakable. "Commander," Drake called out, his voice cutting through the low murmur of the bridge crew. Lieutenant Sarah Collins, his second-in-command, approached swiftly, her expression shifting from curiosity to concern as she listened to the fragmented distress call. "It's the alien queens," Sarah remarked, recognizing the designation of the renowned alien vessel. "Their coordinates are deep in the Andarian Rift." Drake nodded grimly, already formulating a plan. "Prepare the fleet. We move out immediately." His decision was swift, driven by a sense of duty and the potential strategic importance of aiding such a significant ally in the galactic community. Within minutes, the invincible resolve transformed from a dormant sentinel into a hive of activity. Fighters scrambled from the hangar decks, their pilots readying for deployment. Below decks, engineers conducted final checks on weaponry and shield systems, ensuring every component functioned at peak efficiency. The air buzzed with anticipation and the clatter of boots on metal as soldiers moved to their stations. As the fleet assembled, Drake addressed his crew via the ship's intercom. "Today, we answer a call not just for aid, but for solidarity among the stars. The alien queens have been steadfast in maintaining peace across sectors. Now, they require our strength. Let us show them that humanity stands ready to fight alongside them." His words resonated throughout the vessel, bolstering the spirits of his fighters. Each member of the vanguard understood the gravity of the situation. This was not merely a rescue mission but a pivotal moment that could redefine interstellar relations. The journey to the Andarian Rift was fraught with peril. Navigating the dense asteroid fields and volatile energy storms required precision and nerve. Yet, under Drake's expert guidance, the fleet carved a path through the chaos, emerging on the fringes of the rift where the celestial sovereign battled against unseen foes. Upon arrival, the scene was nothing short of catastrophic. The majestic alien vessel was ensnared in a web of gravitational anomalies, its once proud structure battered and beleaguered. Swarms of unidentified craft darted around it, relentless in their assault. Drake's jaw tightened as he assessed the situation. Deploy the fighters. Target those swarms and provide cover for the Sovereign. The order was met with resolute nods. Fighters peeled away from the main fleet, their engines roaring as they engaged the enemy. Lasers crisscrossed the void, painting the darkness with flashes of brilliant light. The vanguard fought with a ferocity born of training and conviction, their maneuvers precise and devastating. Meanwhile, Drake coordinated with the alien Queen's command, establishing a tenuous but vital communication link. "Queen Zorathia, this is Captain Drake of the Invincible Resolve. We're here to assist. What are your status and needs?" The response came through laden with static but clear enough to convey the direness of their plight. "Captain, your timing is impeccable. Our forces are stretched thin. We require support to repel these attackers and stabilize our ship." Acknowledging her request, Drake issued further commands, directing his fleet to focus fire on the larger threats while smaller teams worked to neutralize the swarms. The combined efforts of humans and aliens began to turn the tide, the relentless pressure easing slightly as reinforcements arrived. Yet, even as victory seemed within grasp, a new threat emerged from the depths of the rift. A colossal entity, previously hidden by the turmoil, revealed itself. Its sheer size dwarfed even the largest battleships, and its approach sent shockwaves through the assembled forces. Drake's mind raced, calculating strategies and contingencies. Beside him, Sarah voiced what many were thinking. "Sir, that thing could annihilate us all." "Not if we take it down first," Drake replied, his tone leaving no room for doubt. With renewed determination, he rallied his troops, preparing them for what might be their greatest challenge yet. As the monstrous adversary drew nearer, the invincible resolve and its fleet braced for impact, ready to defend their newfound allies and prove that when the call for help sounded through the stars, humanity answered with unwavering resolve. The battlefield erupted into a symphony of chaos as the colossal entity surged forward, its massive form blotting out the stars. The combined fleets of the alien queens and the human vanguard scrambled to adjust their formations, their disciplined ranks momentarily disrupted by the sheer scale of the new threat. Captain Drake's voice cut through the cacophony of alarms and battle cries, rallying his forces with a clarity that belied the turmoil around them. "All units, prioritize targeting the entity's central mass. We need to disable its core propulsion systems." Queen Zorathia, witnessing the human captain's tactical acumen, quickly aligned her own forces with his strategy. "Concentrate fire on the dorsal spines," she instructed her crew through the shared comms channel. "Those appear to be its primary sensory nodes. Disable them, and we may gain an advantage." The exchange of commands highlighted the burgeoning trust between the two leaders, forged in the heat of combat. As the alien and human fighters executed their synchronized assault, the colossal entity responded with a ferocity that sent shockwaves rippling through space. Massive appendages lashed out, sending smaller vessels spiraling out of control, while torrents of energy erupted from its surface, obliterating anything caught in their path. Amidst the chaos, individual acts of bravery began to emerge. Lieutenant Sarah Collins, leading a squadron of human fighters, performed a daring strafing run along the creature's flank, her ship weaving through a hailstorm of debris and plasma. Her actions drew the attention of one of the Alien Queen's elite pilots, a warrior named Zitharon, whose sleek fighter craft darted in to cover her retreat. Over the comms, Zitharon's gravelly voice crackled with admiration. "Your maneuvers are bold, human. Perhaps there is wisdom in your unpredictability." Sarah smirked, her focus unbroken as she lined up another pass. "Just returning the favor. Keep those spines busy. I'll find the weak spot." Elsewhere, General THRYNN directed a contingent of Alien Queen's drones to deploy a series of electromagnetic pulses, designed to disrupt the entity's internal systems. The drones swarmed like insects, their tiny forms almost invisible against the behemoth's bulk. However, the pulses had an unexpected effect. The creature emitted a low-frequency vibration that resonated through the surrounding space, causing the fighters to wobble uncontrollably. "This isn't just a beast," Tetrawen growled, his mandibles clicking in frustration. "It's adapting to our tactics." Captain Drake, overhearing the exchange, quickly adapted his own strategy. "Switch to alternating frequencies. Hit it with everything we've got, but stagger the attacks. We can't let it anticipate our moves." The battlefield shifted again as the combined forces implemented the new approach. Human missiles screamed through the void, followed moments later by bursts of alien energy weapons. The entity roared in defiance, its movements growing more erratic as the barrage continued. Yet, despite the relentless assault, it showed no signs of faltering. Queen Zorathia, observing the creature's resilience, made a critical decision. "We must target its core directly. Prepare the Sovereign's main cannon. It's our only chance." The announcement sent a ripple of tension through both fleets. The Sovereign's main cannon was a weapon of immense power, capable of obliterating entire asteroids with a single shot. But using it required precise positioning, leaving the mothership vulnerable to counterattack. General Tetrawen voiced his concerns immediately. "Your Majesty, if we divert all power to the cannon, we risk losing our shields entirely." "I am aware of the risks," Zorathia replied, her tone firm. "But we have no other option. Captain Drake, I need your fighters to hold the line while we prepare the cannon. Can you buy us the time we need?" Drake didn't hesitate. "You've got it. Vanguard, tighten the perimeter. Nothing gets past US." As the Sovereign began rerouting power to its main cannon, the human and alien fighters formed a defensive ring around the mothership, their ships overlapping in a seamless barrier of steel and plasma. The entity, sensing the shift in tactics, unleashed a devastating wave of energy that tore through the formation, scattering ships like leaves in a storm. Pilots screamed over the comms as vessels were lost, their sacrifices buying precious seconds for the Sovereign to charge its weapon. Through the chaos, moments of camaraderie and mutual respect continued to shine. A young human pilot named Marcus, fresh out of training, found himself locked in a dogfight with one of the swarming drones that had detached from the entity's body. Just as the drone closed in for the kill, a burst of alien energy vaporized it, saving Marcus's life. "Thanks for the save," he exclaimed, his voice tinged with relief. "You are welcome, human," came the reply, belonging to a soft-spoken alien technician named Liren, who had taken temporary command of a fighter after her station was destroyed. "Perhaps we shall share stories of this battle when it is done." The bond between the two forces grew stronger with each passing moment, forged in the crucible of shared adversity. Even as the entity unleashed another devastating attack, forcing the fighters to scatter once more, the resolve of the combined fleet remained unshaken. Captain Drake's voice rang out across the comms, a rallying cry that united human and alien alike. "Hold the line. For the Sovereign. For the galaxy." Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the Sovereign's main cannon reached full charge. The massive weapon hummed with energy, its barrel glowing with an otherworldly light. Queen Zorathia gave the order, her voice steady despite the weight of the decision. Fire! The cannon discharged with a deafening roar, a beam of pure energy slicing through the void and striking the entity's core with pinpoint accuracy. The impact was cataclysmic, sending shockwaves rippling outward and bathing the battlefield in blinding light. For a moment, it seemed as though the creature had been vanquished. But then, from the smoldering remnants of its body, something stirred. A dark, pulsating mass began to rise, shedding the outer layers of the entity like a cocoon. The realization hit both fleets simultaneously. They had only scratched the surface of their foe. What emerged now was something far more ancient, far more dangerous. Queen Zorathia's voice broke the stunned silence. This is not over. Prepare yourselves. We face a greater threat than we imagined. As the true nature of their adversary revealed itself, the battlefield fell eerily silent. The dark mass that had risen from the ashes of the initial entity pulsed with an ominous energy, its form shifting and undulating as if alive. Tentacle-like appendages stretched outward, probing the surrounding space with malevolent intent. The air crackled with tension as both the alien queens and the human vanguard braced for the next phase of this unprecedented battle. Captain Drake, standing resolute on the bridge of the invincible resolve, clenched his fists tightly around the railing. His mind raced with possibilities, each more daunting than the last. This thing adapts faster than anything we've encountered, he muttered, his voice low but filled with determination. If brute force isn't working, we need to outthink it. Queen Zorathia, equally poised despite the escalating danger, nodded in agreement. Agreed. We must exploit its vulnerabilities before it fully manifests. Captain, your insight into unconventional warfare might be our best asset. Drake turned to his tactical officer, Lieutenant Sarah Collins, who was already poring over data streams and simulations. Collins, analyze its movement patterns. Look for weaknesses or repetitive behaviors. Anything that gives us an edge. Yes, sir, Collins replied, her fingers flying over the holographic interface. Within moments, she highlighted several key observations. It seems to retract its appendages periodically, possibly to regenerate or recharge. During those intervals, its defenses drop significantly. Perfect, Drake said, a spark of inspiration igniting within him. We'll synchronize our attacks to coincide with those moments. Zorathia, can your drones maintain continuous surveillance? We need real-time updates on its cycles. Consider it done, Zorathia affirmed, relaying the order to her drone operators. The tiny machines zipped around the entity, feeding back crucial data that allowed both fleets to refine their strategy. Meanwhile, General THRYNN proposed a bold maneuver. What if we use the Sovereign as bait? Draw it into a specific trajectory where our combined firepower can trap it. Drake raised an eyebrow, considering the risks. That's risky, but it might work. If we coordinate precisely, we could funnel it into a kill zone. The plan was set into motion with meticulous precision. The Sovereign, still recovering from the earlier power drain, positioned itself strategically, emitting a low-frequency signal designed to attract the entity's attention. As expected, the dark mass responded, its appendages lashing out with renewed vigor as it homed in on the alien mothership. Steady, Drake whispered, watching the tactical display intently. The entity was now within range, its movements becoming more predictable as it fixated on the Sovereign. Now, at his command, the human fighters executed a series of feints, drawing the entity's appendages away from the Sovereign and exposing its core. Simultaneously, the alien queen's energy weapons unleashed a concentrated barrage, targeting the exposed areas with surgical precision. The combined assault forced the entity to recoil, its pulsating mass flickering erratically. But just as victory seemed within grasp, the entity retaliated with a ferocity that caught everyone off guard. A surge of dark energy erupted from its core, engulfing several nearby ships in a suffocating field that disrupted their systems and left them adrift. Panic rippled through the comms channels as pilots struggled to regain control. Stay calm, Drake barked, his voice cutting through the chaos. Fall back to designated rally points. Regroup and reassess. Queen Zorathia, equally composed, issued complimentary orders to her crew. Activate emergency protocols. Deploy shield reinforcements to protect our allies. In the midst of the turmoil, individual acts of heroism shone brightly. Lieutenant Sarah Collins, finding herself trapped in the energy field, used her fighter's auxiliary thrusters to nudge a disabled alien drone out of harm's way. "You saved me once. Consider us even," she quipped over the comms, earning a chuckle from the grateful pilot. Similarly, a group of human Marines stationed aboard the Sovereign volunteered for a dangerous boarding operation, aiming to plant explosive charges on the entity's outer layer. Led by Sergeant Marcus Kane, the team navigated the treacherous terrain with grim determination. For Earth and the stars, Kane muttered under his breath as they planted the charges, narrowly avoiding the snapping tendrils. As the explosives detonated, creating fissures in the entity's armor, the combined fleets seized the opportunity to press their advantage. Wave after wave of coordinated attacks hammered the weakened areas, slowly but surely wearing down the creature's defenses. The battlefield became a blur of motion and sound, each strike bringing them closer to victory. Yet, even as the tide turned in their favor, a chilling realization dawned on both leaders. The entity, though gravely wounded, showed no signs of surrender. It was as if it drew strength from the very destruction it wrought, its essence spreading further into the void. Drake and Zerathia exchanged a glance, their unspoken understanding clear. This battle was far from over. They needed a final, decisive blow, one that would require every ounce of courage and ingenuity they possessed. The battlefield, once a chaotic sprawl of ships and energy blasts, had transformed into a finely tuned orchestra of coordinated strikes and defensive maneuvers. Captain Drake and Queen Zerathia, standing shoulder to shoulder in the command centers of their respective flagships, communicated with a fluidity that spoke of burgeoning trust and mutual respect. Their voices, calm yet commanding, echoed through the comms channels, guiding their forces with precision honed by hours of relentless combat. "Final phase," Drake announced. His eyes locked onto the tactical display where the dark entity writhed in agony, its form flickering like a dying flame. "All units, converge on the designated coordinates. We're ending this now." Queen Zerathia nodded, her luminous eyes reflecting the same steely resolve. "Our combined strength will break it. Sovereign, prepare the resonance pulse. Humans, synchronize your missile salvos with our energy discharge." The resonance pulse, a theoretical weapon developed by the Alien Queen scientists, was their ace in the hole. Designed to disrupt the molecular cohesion of any organic or synthetic structure, it represented a gamble that could either seal their victory or leave them defenseless. The human fleet, meanwhile, readied a barrage of high-yield missiles, each tipped with experimental warheads capable of amplifying the pulse's effects. As the countdown began, the tension aboard both fleets was palpable. Pilots gripped their controls tighter, their breathing measured and deliberate. Engineers monitored power levels, ensuring every system was primed for maximum output. In the quiet moments before the assault, individual thoughts turned inward. Some prayed to deities old and new, others simply steeled themselves for what lay ahead. 10 seconds, Drake's voice cut through the silence, steady and unwavering. "Hold the line." The entity, sensing the impending attack, unleashed a desperate flurry of countermeasures. Dark tendrils lashed out, attempting to snare nearby ships, while bursts of energy erupted from its core, seeking to overwhelm the advancing forces. But the combined fleets held firm, their formations unbroken despite the onslaught. 5 seconds, Zerathia intoned, her voice carrying a note of solemn determination. "May the stars guide us." At 0, the battlefield erupted in a dazzling display of synchronized firepower. The Sovereign's resonance pulse surged forth, a shimmering wave of energy that enveloped the entity in a cocoon of destabilizing force. Simultaneously, the human missiles streaked through the void, their warheads detonating in perfect harmony with the pulse. The resulting explosion was cataclysmic, a supernova of light and heat that illuminated the surrounding space. For a moment, it seemed as though the entity had been obliterated. The dark mass dissipated, its tendrils disintegrating into harmless wisps of energy. Cheers erupted across the comms channels as pilots and crew members celebrated what appeared to be a hard-won victory. But then, a low rumble reverberated through the void, a sound that chilled even the most seasoned veterans. From the remnants of the explosion, a new form began to coalesce. Larger, darker, and infinitely more menacing, it loomed over the battlefield like a harbinger of doom. The realization hit both fleets simultaneously. The entity had evolved once more, transcending its previous limitations. Drake's voice, though strained, remained resolute. It's not over. Fall back to secondary positions. We need to reassess. Queen Zerathia, her expression grim but unwavering, concurred. We underestimated its capacity for adaptation. But we will not falter. Not now. As the newly transformed entity advanced, its movements deliberate and calculated, the combined fleets scrambled to regroup. The sovereign shields flickered under the strain of sustaining prolonged combat, while the human fighters limped back to their carriers, many bearing scars from the earlier engagement. Yet, amidst the chaos, a profound sense of unity prevailed. Human and alien alike worked seamlessly together, their differences forgotten in the face of a common foe. Lieutenant Sarah Collins, her fighter trailing smoke from a damaged engine, radioed in with a report. "Captain, I've detected residual energy signatures from the pulse. They're destabilizing the entity's core, but it's adapting too quickly for us to capitalize." Drake processed the information, his mind racing. "Can we amplify those residuals? Use them to weaken it further?" Zerathia, overhearing the exchange, offered a suggestion. "Our drones can deploy nanite clusters to exploit the instability. Combined with your targeting systems, we might create a window of opportunity." "Do it," Drake ordered, his voice firm. "Every second counts." As the drones deployed the nanites, weaving intricate patterns around the entity, the human fighters positioned themselves for another assault. Their weapons charged, their resolve unshaken, they waited for the signal to strike. The battlefield, once again, teetered on the brink of chaos. In the heart of the conflict, individual acts of bravery continued to define the struggle. Sergeant Marcus Kane, leading a squad of Marines aboard the Sovereign, volunteered for a perilous mission to manually recalibrate the mothership's shield generators. "If we can reinforce the Sovereign's defenses, we might buy ourselves enough time to finish this," he declared, his voice echoing with determination. Queen Zerathia, watching the human soldier prepare for his task, offered a rare smile. "Your courage does you credit, Sergeant. May the stars watch over you." As Kane and his team ventured into the bowels of the Sovereign, navigating corridors filled with the hum of machinery and the acrid smell of burnt circuits, the rest of the fleet braced for the final push. The entity, now fully manifested, exuded an aura of invincibility. Its dark form pulsed with malevolent energy, its tendrils reaching out to snuff out any resistance. Drake and Zerathia exchanged a glance, their unspoken bond forged in the crucible of battle. They knew the stakes. Failure meant annihilation, not just for their fleets but for countless worlds that depended on their success. Yet, in that moment, they also understood something deeper, a truth that transcended species and alliances. "We fight not just for survival," Zerathia said softly, her voice carrying a note of reverence, "but for the future of all who call this galaxy home." Drake nodded, his jaw tightening with resolve. "Then let's make sure that future is worth fighting for." With those words, the final assault began. The battlefield erupted once more, a symphony of light and sound that echoed across the stars. Human and alien forces poured everything they had into the fray, their coordinated efforts a testament to the power of unity in the face of overwhelming odds. And as the entity reeled under the renewed assault, its form beginning to fracture and collapse, a glimmer of hope emerged, a fragile but undeniable beacon that promised salvation, however distant it might seem. As the battle raged on, the entity's form began to destabilize, its once impenetrable facade cracking under the relentless assault. The combined forces of the alien queens and the human vanguard pressed their advantage, their synchronized attacks growing more aggressive and precise. Yet, amidst the chaos, a subtle shift occurred, a change that neither side could have anticipated. The entity, now reduced to a shadow of its former self, began emitting a series of low-frequency pulses. These pulses, unlike its previous attacks, did not seek to destroy but rather to communicate. The pulses formed patterns, intricate and deliberate, that resonated through the comms channels of both fleets. Queen Zerathia, her antennae twitching in response to the unfamiliar signals, turned to her science officer. "Analyze these patterns. Determine their origin and purpose." The science officer, a diminutive alien with translucent skin, worked feverishly at his console. "My queen, these are not random emissions. They are a language. Complex, yet decipherable." Captain Drake, overhearing the exchange, approached Zorathia. A language? Could it be trying to communicate? It is possible, Zorathia replied, her expression thoughtful. But we must proceed with caution. Communication could be a ploy to lower our guard. Drake nodded, understanding the risks. Let's decode it. If there's a chance to end this without further bloodshed, we owe it to our people to explore it. The science teams from both fleets worked in tandem, their combined expertise unraveling the cryptic messages. Slowly, a picture began to emerge. The entity, once perceived as a mindless destroyer, was in fact a guardian, a remnant of an ancient civilization tasked with protecting a sacred artifact hidden within the Andarian Rift. The artifact, imbued with immense power, had been sought by various factions throughout history, each hoping to harness its energy for their own purposes. This changes everything, Zorathia murmured, her voice tinged with awe. The entity is not our enemy. It is a protector, driven to extremes by the constant threat of invasion and exploitation. Drake's brow furrowed as he absorbed the implications. If that's true, then our presence here has been misinterpreted as hostile. We need to signal our intentions clearly. Together, they devised a plan to broadcast a message of peace, using the same frequency patterns the entity had employed. The message was simple yet profound, expressing their respect for its role and their desire to coexist peacefully. As the transmission went out, the battlefield fell silent, the entity pausing its attacks as if listening intently. Moments stretched into minutes, the tension palpable as both fleets awaited a response. Finally, the entity emitted a single, sustained pulse, a signal of acknowledgement. Its form began to shrink, the dark mass dissipating into the void as it retreated from the battlefield. "We've done it," Drake breathed, a mixture of relief and disbelief washing over him. "We've established a dialogue." Zorathia placed a hand on his shoulder, a gesture of gratitude and camaraderie. "Indeed, Captain. Today, we have achieved something far greater than victory in battle. We have bridged a gap between species, proving that understanding and cooperation can overcome even the most daunting challenges." As the entity vanished into the depths of space, leaving behind only a faint echo of its presence, the combined fleets began the arduous process of regrouping and assessing the damage. Ships limped back to formation, their crews tending to the wounded and repairing the battered vessels. The atmosphere, though somber, was infused with a sense of accomplishment and newfound hope. In the aftermath, the alien queens and the human vanguard convened aboard the Sovereign to discuss the implications of their encounter. The revelation of the artifact's existence sparked intense debate, with both sides agreeing to safeguard its location and ensure it remained untouched by those who might misuse its power. This alliance, Zorathia declared during the meeting, has proven invaluable. Let us build upon it, forging a partnership that transcends our differences and unites us in the pursuit of peace and prosperity. Drake, standing beside her, echoed her sentiments. "To the stars and beyond, together. Our futures are intertwined, and I believe we are stronger for it." As the meeting concluded, the crews of both fleets mingled, sharing stories and forming bonds that would endure long after the battle was forgotten. The camaraderie forged in the crucible of conflict laid the foundation for a new era of cooperation, one that promised to reshape the galaxy in ways neither side could have imagined. Yet, even as they celebrated their triumph, a lingering question remained. What other secrets lay hidden within the vast expanse of the cosmos? And how would humanity and the alien queens navigate the challenges that undoubtedly awaited them? The answers, like the stars themselves, were infinite and unknowable. But for now, they stood united, ready to face whatever the universe might throw their way. As the Sovereign and the Resolve turned their bows toward home, a newfound sense of purpose guided their course. The artifact's location was sealed in shared vaults, its power left undisturbed as a testament to their unity. Queen Zorathia and Captain Drake exchanged a final nod, their bond unspoken yet unbreakable. "We've only scratched the surface," Drake said, gazing at the stars ahead. "But together, we'll face whatever comes next." Zorathia smiled faintly, her eyes reflecting the infinite cosmos. "The galaxy is vast, Captain. But with allies like you, it feels less daunting." And so, the fleets parted ways, carrying with them not just scars of battle but seeds of hope. Their journey had changed them, forging a legacy that would ripple through the stars for generations. For in the end, they had discovered something greater than victory, a shared destiny among the stars.